Hi everyone and welcome back to the Snakemake series. Marcus here. In this video I will show you how Snakemake decides what rules to run and when, and also why we need a rule all that has no output and only input. Let's start with a simple rule that copies the file A and renames it file B. If we launch the pipeline, we have only the copyab rule run that generates the B file. Now let's add a rule that makes a copy of file B and renames it file C. If we launch the pipeline, we would expect to get file C, but this does not happen. This is because Snakemake takes the first rule and tries to get its output, in this case file B. Since to get file B we just need the file A, and file A is already present, the only rule that needs to be run is rule copyab. Any other rule below is irrelevant to get file B. Let's see what happens if we move the rule copybc to the top. Now when we launch the pipeline, both rules are run and the file C is finally generated. What is going on is that Snakemake tries to run the first rule, but the B input file is absent, so it looks for another rule that can generate the file and finds rule copyab that generates the B file and runs it. After running copyab, the copybc is launched and we end running both rules. But we still can run into problems when we have divergent branches. For example, if we want to generate a second copy of file B and name it D, we need to write a new rule. However, since the first rule of the pipeline does not depend on the new rule, the rule is not run. One way to solve this problem would be to come up with a rule that needs both files C and D as input. For example, we can write the following rule cat_cd. Now if we launch the pipeline, both files C and D are generated together with this additional file X. But in this case, I just want file C and D. I do not care about X. Let's see what happens if we only use the input for rule cat_cd. Oddly enough, the pipeline launches and generates the files as expected. If we check the run, all rules are run normally, but the cat_cd one is flagged as local rule and no actual shell command is associated to it. So for rule cat_cd we can leave only the input and we are good. We will rename also the rule all because that's the general convention. And this is the reason for which the output of the whole pipeline is specified as input within rule all and not as output, which initially can result counterintuitive. Now we can give any order to the rules since this does not longer matter, and my personal preference is to write them in the order they are executed. Well, that's all you need to know to understand rule all and how Snakemake decides what rules to run. However, as you can see, we are not nearly there. All these rules look very redundant and we can simplify them, for example by using wildcards, as I'm doing now. But that's the topic for the next video, now displayed in the upper right corner of the screen. If instead you want to understand the concept of rule in more detail, click the video in the lower right. I will see you there, and don't forget to subscribe.